Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Riverhead School Board Business Meeting. I need a motion to come out of executive session. Thank you, Therese. I need a second. Thank you, Matt. All in favor? Oh. We need to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance Okay, so tonight, the first thing we have is the external auditor's report. Jill Sanders, Cullen and Danowski. She's going to be on Zoom, is it? But she's coming through. She should be up here. Okay. Regardless, you'll be able to hear her. Go ahead. All right, we're having a little difficulty here, so we're going to skip that until it gets straightened out. And we're going to skip C, we're going to get back to it. We're going to skip D, but we're going to go to E, which is the treasurer's report.
Okay, good evening. My name is Nancy Rayner. I'm the district treasurer. Tonight I will be discussing with you how to read and understand the treasurer's report. As treasurer, I am responsible for maintaining an accurate record of the finances of the district and perform the financial and bookkeeping duties for the school board, including receipt, disbursement, and recording of all monies for the district. I work closely with the business official and various other departments. I ensure that all funds held in banks are in compliance with collateral laws. I transfer money between accounts to maximize interest rates, and I also provide written periodic reports to the Board of Ed detailing the financial happenings in the district. You all should have a copy of the October Treasurer's Report, which is also on the agenda tonight. I will now go through that report with you to try and give you a better understanding of the finances of the school district. The first part of the Treasurer's Report is the bank reconciliation. It is found on pages 1 and 2 and lists all 15 accounts that the district holds. The first line shows the opening balance from the previous month. The next section lists the income to each account from various sources. The following section lists the expenses for each account, and the last line shows the ending balance for the month. Do you all have a copy of the Treasurer's Report, so you're following?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Next is the Revenue Status Report on pages 3, 4, and 5. That shows money coming into the district. An example on the bottom of page 3, which shows account 2304, which is transportation for other districts. If you follow that line across, the district anticipating receiving $200,000 for this year. To date, we've received $57,038. The anticipated balance is $142,961. However, due to COVID, we may not reach that figure. Okay, the next part is pages 6 through 15, which is the budget status report, and it shows the district's expenses. The appropriation is the amount earmarked for a particular expenditure line, which can be adjusted up or down depending on the need of the district. An encumbrance outstanding means that it is reserved for a specific expenditure. Unencumbered balances are needed for unforeseen expenses, particularly, as an example, salaries for substitutes who have to do for teachers, security, custodians, any substitutes. That's just one example. Okay, now an example to just pinpoint one is on the bottom of page 7, which shows account number 1620.45, which is supplies and materials. Again, if you follow that line on the bottom of page 7 across, we budgeted $207,075 for the year, but we needed an additional $92,124, which you see in the adjustment column, bringing the total to $299,199. It shows that the district has spent $118,164 and has an additional $133,677 reserved for specific uses. The remainder of $47,357 remains unencumbered, and the reason it remains unencumbered in that particular line is because it's available for future COVID-19 expenditures through the CARES Act, which we are tracking through general fund. Okay, next are the budget transfers on pages 16 through 18. Budget transfers are done and approved by approval from the Board of Ed or district office administrators during that particular month. On page 16 on October 5th, $100 was transferred from high school nursing supplies to St. John Paul II nursing supplies. That's just an example. So it goes from one code to another as needed. And as you all should know, and the public knows, anything over $25,000 with a different function, which the function is the first 4 numbers of the budget code, if it exceeds $25,000, it needs board approval before anything can be moved. Otherwise, small items like this can be moved on a regular basis. Okay, and lastly, the check registers. This is checks that are written on from any checking account that we hold. Not all the accounts are checking accounts, some of them are money markets. And these are from pages 19 to 34. They show each check written during the month. And just so you know, before any check can be sent out, checks are always audited by the claims auditors. That's a different set of auditors each and every week. So nothing can leave our office until it's audited and approved. Okay, lastly, you should all have a cash flow statement. As treasurer, I always perform this cash flow statement. I don't always provide it with the treasurer's report. I will be from now on. It shows an accounting of spendable cash of only the 4 general fund accounts. All the other accounts are either trust and agency accounts or reserve accounts, capital reserve accounts, lunch fund accounts. But these are for just the 4 general fund accounts, which is the general fund checking account, the People's Money Market account, the Bridgehampton National Bank Money Market account, and the Class Money Market account. The report shows actual cash movement to date from July through October, and in italics are the projected figures from November through June. And as I said, we'll be adding this cash flow statement to the treasurer's report each month. I hope this helps you understand the financial recordings of the district, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Sure.
Board members?
Therese?
Could you just repeat the 4 accounts that you said?
Sure. If you have the treasurer's report in front of you?
Yes.
The general fund accounts are column 1, People's Checking Account, column 2, People's Money Market Account, column 5, Bridgehampton National Bank Money Market Account, and column 8 on the first page is Class Money Market Account. You're welcome.
Anybody else? You seem good. Thank you so much, Ms. Rennie.
Okay. If you have any questions, my name and number is on the back of that page.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Is she there? Okay. All right, so now we're going to go back to B for the external auditor's report. She's all set up now. Ms. Sanders?
Great. Thank you very much for inviting me to the Board of Education meeting this evening. So I'm here to present the results of the June 30th, 2020 audit. And I did want to thank the audit committee who took the time to meet with me on September 16th. We met for probably approximately 2 hours to go through the documents in detail. And as always, the audit committee of the school district is very much involved in this process. And I appreciate the feedback and the questions that they posed to me during this particular meeting. I also wanted to thank the deputy superintendent for his assistance with making documentation available and his staff available to speak with during this process. With COVID-19, it was especially a difficult time in conducting the audit and being able to obviously not be on site, but being able to secure the documents that we needed to in order to render our opinion. And I appreciate when we asked for documentation, how quickly we received it. And when we had questions with respect to the documentation, how quickly the responses were received by myself and my staff. So I do appreciate that. So my report to the Board of Education is a good report this evening. As I've explained in years past, the way that the audit starts is with an assessment of risk. And the risk is assessed over the internal control structure of the school district's financial transactions. And the district has a very good, strong internal control structure in place. So this means there's checks and balances over the various financial transactions. And these checks and balances are to support the Board of Education's policies and also what general municipal law and education law is looking for in conjunction with financial transactions maintained by a school district. And I hope you noted when you received the information from me through the school district for the audit that there was no management letter. And so really this talks about the financial statement audit and the controls in particular. As the Board of Education is aware, if we have any findings are either a material weakness or significant deficiency, in which case it's an internal control structure item that needs to be addressed immediately. There are no such items, and we did not communicate those in writing to the school district as such. And then there's a lower level of internal control structure matters that we might comment on, and that's in the form of a management letter, and there were no comments this year. With respect to the financial condition of the school district, so this, when we think about the fact that school was really not physically operational from the middle of March through the end of the year, our financial results are going to look a little bit different than what we had anticipated when we put the budget together. So as to be expected, there had been savings on the budget because school was not in session. You didn't have as much facility costs as you might typically have. Transportation costs were not what they would be. Even things such as extracurricular and scholastic expenses would not be what you would expect them to be because of the last 3+ months of which school was not really in session physically. And so this gave the opportunity to the Board of Education to be able to support next year's budget and also to be able to restore some of the reserves that you had to access during the past year. And so you remember that you use for budgeting purposes your reserves and your appropriated fund balance. You as a school district make a contribution of $3.5 million towards the budget. And that means those are resources or financial resources that have to be created during the year. So either we don't spend our whole budget or we generate more revenue than had been expected. So because of the unusual financial situation, because of COVID-19, there were some dollars that weren't spent, as I said before, so you were able to go ahead and support the next year's budget with $3.5 million. And you might remember that you had a number of employees separate from the school district during the past year, and that approximated about $2.3 million. And this also gave you the opportunity to restore that employee benefit accrued liability reserve. So this is really important to be able to do that, because anytime someone leaves the school district and there is a payout in conjunction with whatever salary arrangements are in place, the funding is typically not in the budget. So this reserve has been used by the Board of Education to be able to fund dollars from budgetary savings to go ahead and be able to cover this expenditure. And so you were able to successfully do that, because that is a fairly large amount to pay out during one school year. In conjunction with the financials, the financial condition of the school district is good. It's stable. And you know that because of your bond rating, and you know that because of when you borrow. I hope you noted in the financial statement, especially in the subsequent events, because you did go ahead and you borrowed for bond anticipation notes and tax anticipation notes. And as we know, this is because you don't receive your taxes and you do have expenditures before those tax revenues come in. But I hope you noted that your incremental borrowing rate was less than 0.5%. And that has to do with the strength of your financial condition and that you've been able to maintain stability. And that's what the lenders are basically looking for when they're issuing your debt. I hope you also noted in the subsequent events that we disclosed that the district refinanced one of their older bonds. And this also, when you read the disclosure, I hope you noticed that you received a premium of over $1 million. So you financed $9.3 million and you received $1 million. So this also comes from financial strength of the school district, which I know you've worked really hard on. We've evaluated the reports that were issued by your internal auditor and your internal claims auditor in conjunction with the performance of the audit. And we think everything is in order there and the district's responses are appropriate. In addition to the financial statement, which I rendered an unmodified opinion on, we provided the Board of Education with other documents, one of those being the Extra Classroom Activity Fund report on the cash basis, opportunity for the students to handle financial transactions or in conjunction with a faculty advisor. And there's the central treasurer and deputy treasurer that are handling the transactions. And so this report is a two-page report that summarizes by activity or class accounts what the transactions were, receipts and disbursements for the year. We also issued a communication to the Board of Education under our standards AUC 260, and it describes the fact that the audit was performed in accordance with the standards, generally accepted auditing standards in the United States, government auditing standards, and the uniform guidance, which has to do with the single audit that will be performed during the latter part of this quarter and the first quarter of next year. Just as a reminder, that's due with the Federal Single Audit Clearinghouse, March 31st of 2021. It's a compliance type audit, so we typically do that after the financial statement audit. And so all of those standards were followed by the school district. We proposed some adjustments, and the district has gone ahead and accepted those adjustments, recorded the adjustments, and they're reflective in the information that they file with the State Education Department. And I would typically expect adjustments because we're coming into audit subsequent to the time that the books and records are closed. So we have additional information that the district may not have had close to the June 30th deadline. So that is my report to the Board of Education. I don't know if there are any questions from you.
Any questions? I don't see any here, Ms. Sanders, so I just want to thank you very much for the report, and you have a nice evening and a happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Do we have any public comments on the agenda, Lisa? None? Okay, so we'll go over to letter D, the superintendent's report. Ms. Toner?
Thank you, Mrs. Downs. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by discussing the fact that The Riverhead community is now in the yellow zone as designated by Governor Cuomo. I sent information out yesterday via a letter on the website and email and a robocall. However, the past 3 days, Friday, Monday, yesterday and today, we've been partnering with the Suffolk County Department of Health Services and County Executive Steve Ballone's office to test our students and staff. As a yellow zone designated school, we need to test 20% of our staff and students in the schools that are in person, that have in-person instruction. Riley and Aquabog are not included because they are not in the yellow zone. Their zip codes are outside of the yellow zone, so at this point in time, they can continue in-person instruction. As you know, Riley is currently on full remote, and we're hoping on December 1st we'll be able to return to in-person instruction. We'll know better on Monday. It's the situation with going to full remote instruction is on a day-to-day basis, depending on the positive cases that we get for that building for staff members, and then the resulting quarantines that need to happen for staff members. So that's been our challenge lately when we have to close buildings. Fortunately, it's not students that are causing the spread in schools. So we do not have that many positive cases in our buildings, but a lot of times it's due to the quarantine needs that cause the buildings to have to close. So good news, today on day 3, we tested 177 individuals and only 1 positive case. So just like on Friday when we had no positive cases, that was great. Yesterday, we like to think was an anomaly where we tested 174 people, I believe, and we had 11 or 12 positives yesterday. So overall, over the 3 days, that brings us to a 2.5% positivity rate, which would allow us to keep the schools open. We just have to hit that 20% mark. We do think that on Monday, we should be real close. We're about 100 tests away to hitting the 20%. So if we don't do that on Monday the 30th, Suffolk County Department of Health Services said they'll be back on Tuesday, December 1st as well. So Monday we'll be testing at Pulaski again, and on Tuesday we'll be testing at the high school. So families are encouraged to complete those surveys, consent, willingness to test, and then consent to have your child tested. And then students from middle school and Pulaski will be tested when they're in school on Monday. High school's on full remote, and they'll be back in person on December 7th. But any parent can bring their child to the testing site, Pulaski or the high school, during the day. If you'd like to pick your child up from school, or if your child is home on remote, bring them to the school. Otherwise, on Tuesday at the high school, we encourage everyone to get tested. I also want to thank our nurses, our guards, our clerical staff, all of those people that helped out over the past few days. It was definitely an endeavor that no one prepared for, that, you know, we don't expect to test students and staff for health conditions in the schools, but I'm really proud of everyone's efforts. It went very smoothly, and also to the credit of Terry Culhane, our security director, who does all of our contact tracing and works very closely with Suffolk County Department of Health Services. Thank you, Terry. Congratulations to CJ Dorr and Mackenzie Dorr on signing letters of intent to play lacrosse. Congratulations to CJ, who will be attending Wingate University, and Mackenzie, Newberry College, both in North Carolina. And I'd like to extend congratulations to Mr. Dorr and his wife. She's not here or present, but Mr. Dorr, you're here. I know you're very proud of your children, and we are as well. Also tonight, we're recognizing Ola of Eastern Long Island for their generous donation of almost $1 million worth of Chromebooks and software licensing for our students. They made donations last spring and then followed up with an even bigger donation this fall. We're very, very grateful. I don't think Minerva Perez made it this evening. She's the executive director of OLA of Eastern Long Island. Okay, but Mr. Michael Donovan, who's the benefactor that works directly with Ola, is joining us via Zoom. And then if he can see that, we made something special to thank Ola and Mr. Donovan. Board members, if you can't see it on the screen, I will email it to you after tonight. Mr. Donovan, are you there with us? He's joining us via Zoom. And then if he can see that, we made something special to thank Ola. And Mr. Donovan, if you can hear me, can you lower the volume on your device? That you have a delay right now.
Yeah, I can lower it.
Okay. Thank you for joining us via Zoom.
Yes, I am.
So give us a moment. We're going to be thanking you with a video. Mr. Donovan, if you can hear me, can you lower volume on your device? That you have delays right now.
I've lowered it.
Okay. Thank you for joining us via Zoom.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
The Riverhead Central School District is facing an unprecedented challenge to start the school year. We didn't have a past budget. We had the pandemic that we're dealing with, and our reentry plan required that all students that needed a device get a device. If it wasn't for the donations of Ola of Eastern Long Island, Michael Donovan, we would not have been able to fulfill that promise. We're so grateful for the generosity and the heart that is a part of this generous donation.
I believe that this is going to change the life of so many of our students who before this did not have the ability to do their schoolwork because they were sharing devices or they were using their phone. And now by having their own device, they're going to be successful.
This Chromebook has helped me because it lets me get my work done easier and more efficiently.
This Chromebook really helped me because now can I do my homework more easier.
Getting a Chromebook has helped me a lot because I had to do my homework on my phone, but now I have a Chromebook, I can get it done faster and better.
This Chromebook has helped me to reach to my teachers whenever I need it because it's more easier.
Getting a Chromebook from the school has helped me in so many ways because I've been able to get all my work done, and it shows me new things I can do with it, and I can access different websites.
Thank you so much, Ola of Eastern Long Island, and to you, Michael Donovan. You really changed the lives of many of our students. You're making such a great impact and difference in the Riverhead Central School District.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Gracias.
I just want to say thank you for lending me a computer.
Thank you for lending me a Chromebook.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Donovan, you there with us? Did you see that? Mr. Donovan, if you unmute, we can hear you. Were you able to see our presentation? I think you're muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
If you unmute, we can hear you.
I have unmuted. I don't know whether you can hear me.
We can hear you.
No, I was saying it's hard to do your homework on a phone, and I'm so glad that these Chromebooks made a difference.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We'll send you a copy of this link as well, so you can watch it again. And we have certificates for you and Minerva Perez as well, and we'll make sure we get those to you soon.
Thank you, and you're doing a great job in these difficult times.
Thank you so much from the Board of Education. We really appreciate all you've done.
So much. We'll send you a copy of this link.
All right, and to close out thank you, Mr. Donovan. Close out my statement. I wish everyone a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. It's a difficult time for all families, and together as a community, we'll get through this difficult time. So thank you.
The vaccine is coming.
And to close out my, thank you, Mr. Donovan, close out my statement. I wish everyone a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. It's a difficult time for all families, and, to get.
Ms. Downs? Ms. Downs?
Yes.
Could I just ask a question to the superintendent about the presentation?
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, can you just clarify the yellow zone mandate? You mentioned it's just the zip code 11901, so to test outside of that zip code, that doesn't count towards the 20% to keep the schools open. So you mentioned that Riley and Aquabog are not included in the yellow zone.
Correct.
So the tests that are being done right now, if it's not
The tests
11901.
The tests that were already done, the county and the governor's office are letting us use those tests because they were already completed from Friday and Monday.
Even though they're not 11901.
Yes, because
Okay.
many of the students, they may live outside of 11901, but if they attend Pulaski Middle School or high school,
Okay.
that's where we're looking. And it's an overall number for the district that the county is looking for.
But they're allowing you to use the previous tests.
Yes.
So going forward, though, anyone tested outside of 11901 does not calculate into the 20% of the yellow zone mandate.
It depends on what school the student attends. If the student attends Pulaski Middle School or high school, regardless of what their zip code is, it's helping the school district.
Okay, so
The
it's
yellow
the
zone-
Riley School and Aquabog School, not the people in it. It's the actual location.
The locations
that
can
is-
stay open,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
To follow up on that and the scenario, so if we moved into a zone where we had to go remote, and those two schools are not in that 11901 zip code, they could stay open.
Yes, I believe they can. All of this is a work in progress. I would confirm it with the county, but I believe being that those schools are not in the yellow zone, they would not be closed.
So
And
then there's no such thing as closing down the district, as we were originally told. That if we don't do the 20%, they could close down the district.
they could close down the other 5 schools. And we would have to go remote in the other 5 schools.
Let's see, that wasn't explained in the
Right.
beginning.
It's-
Thank you.
it's- Yes. It's very-
Again, this is all, every day we get new information, and it's a whole new scenario. So the county, Hampton Bays and Riverhead were the first 2 districts in Suffolk County to be designated yellow. So we're all working through this together.
Right, so it's still a work in progress. Every day there's a different thing coming
We
up.
get additional information every day, but my understanding, based on what I was told yesterday, that Riley and Aquabog are not in the yellow zone. Therefore, those schools would remain open.
So, okay, so the district is not in yellow zone.
The district is, yes, we have 5 schools that are within the yellow zone.
The entire district is not in yellow zone, though, because if Riley and Aquabog are separate zip codes from 11901, right?
That's what they told me yesterday. They specifically made mention that Riley and Aquabog were not within the 11901, so they were not in the yellow zone.
Okay, but you're referring to it general then, the district you're saying is in yellow, but it's not the entire district, it's specific schools.
Town is yellow.
Yeah,
No, I
Riverhead Town
understand
is
that,
yellow.
but,
The community is yellow.
okay, so how does the community being yellow affect?
It's the schools within it.
No, I understand. I'm also asking for clarification for the people that are viewing too, that might not understand exactly what's going on. So if the town is yellow, and it's because it's 11901, that's our town zip code, you're not talking about, so Aquabog is not yellow?
Aquabog and Riley are not in the 11901 zip code. The county has informed me that they are not considered in the yellow zone at this time.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the word, when you're using district, it's not the entire district, it's specific schools within the district. because of the zip code. Because Riley and Aquabog are not
Okay,
the same.
I can
That's what I'm
understand what
asking.
you're asking, but
So-
also to remember that the community is also in the yellow zone.
Right.
So if the community moves into orange or red zone, there's additional restrictions that are placed on the schools as well as on businesses. So I had outlined that in the letter yesterday, that businesses within the 11901 zip code also have restrictions now at the yellow zone, but those will increase if we move to orange or red.
Okey dokey. Consent agenda. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Sue.
You have F.
Letter F first, no?
Oh, no?
No, we don't vote
Oh,
on
it's
it.
under 10,000. So I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda then.
Okay, so I got Dr. Kukunis and I got Mr. Wallace. All in favor? Move on. That's passed. Okay, old business. Discussion about the 9th and 10th grade class advisors. This is the discussion that was started, and we're going to finish. Who would like to start?
Well, since I asked about it last meeting, I'm happy to start. I think it's really important, especially hearing from our students and the state of our district and everything that's happening with COVID, that we keep these class advisors involved, and the classes, the 9th and 10th grade involved. So I vote absolutely to bring that back. If we're voting.
Want to join the discussion?
I'm in agreement. I think during this time, those two classes could use extra support. So I would like to see those two advisors come back to see those students through.
Now, I have a question. If these advisors, they're definitely good.
Yeah, at this point in time, they'd have to be prorated because the school year began.
Because in the beginning of the school year, when all this started, we were all told there was no probating anything at that point.
I had a conversation with the RCFA, and we talked about last spring when the in-person instruction ended abruptly. We did pay advisors, but we did stop as of March 12th. So we did prorate it, so there was some practice there. So we had the conversation, and that we can move forward with prorated stipends if that's the direction that the board wished to go in.
Okay.
You know, again, just to caution, with a contingent budget and all of the additional COVID expenses that we've had, it is important to keep that in mind as we move into the next budget cycle.
Exactly. Any other board members?
Can you just confirm the cost? I think, what did we say it was, $4,000?
It's $2,152 per advisor.
Okay.
That's the unprorated amount, so it'll be less than that once we prorate.
So you're definitely under 4,000, around 3,800, something like that? For the two?
3 months, 1,200.
They're doing math over here.
It's about 3,700.
Just so we have an idea of what we're, doing here. Because I do know the PTO is doing a lot of work for those two grades. They're doing the majority of the work for those two grades.
Well, I also thought that the kids were doing stuff themselves. Was that the
Student government?
the student government was working with the 9th and 10th graders? You're saying no, Ms. Healy?
I was just made aware that the PTO was doing a lot of the work for those two grades.
The PTO has been doing
They're-
partnership along with
Well,
the building.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're very appreciative of all of the efforts of
Right,
the
and that's why
that we know.
they suggested that those two grades could use the help of advisors to bring those advisors back.
And there was a parent that reached out to me asking about fundraising, which was something I hadn't thought about. And then we did look at the extracurricular funds over the past few years, and the amount of money that's fundraised in 9th and 10th grade is nominal. So it's not a lot. Sometimes it's under 1,000, sometimes it's around 1,000. So that wouldn't necessarily be the hindrance to move a 9th or a 10th grade class forward towards their junior or senior year with the other activities that they have to fundraise for. The bulk of the fundraising does happen in junior and senior year.
Mr. Schneider?
Just doing the math here on the side, obviously we'll have to audit it, but I'm going to say about $3,300 for both advisors all in, plus payroll taxes and benefit.
I'm sorry, once again, Sam, I couldn't hear you.
It's approximately 33 salary plus payroll taxes and TRS benefit that would have to be added on top of that.
3,300?
That's a piece, right?
No,
That's total? Okay. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Ms. Downs, I'll recommend, though, that if this is something the board's considering, you're probably better off putting it on your agenda for the next meeting and also being able to have some discussion with administration in terms of people to appoint. So it's
Okay.
actually on an agenda for discussion.
I can accept the attorney's suggestion. Is everybody okay with that?
Well, I'm not in disagreement, but I'd rather wait until, because we had said that we would wait until we got our insurance, our,
Health insurance.
yes, thank you.
Right, we had originally voted, December, to go back to it.
Yes.
So that would be our next meeting.
And yeah, that's just it. We're so close to it. Let's go and continue with our plan as we've continually stated, instead of doing things piecemeal with uncertainty. Let's do it right. We're short term away.
Okay, so is everyone in agreement with that? We had already voted a while back to wait until December. Is everybody in agreement to hold off on this until that December meeting? Not hearing any objection, we're moving on. New business. Adoption of district-wide safety plan. Resolved that the Board of Education of the Riverhead Central School District hereby adopts the district-wide safety plan for the 2020-2021 school year. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Matt. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Kukunis. All in favor? Resolution passes. B, approval of the 2019-2020 audit. Can I have a motion? Motion. Thank you, Brian. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion, all in favor? Motion passes. Item C, amendment of approval for appropriations. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion passes. Approval of superintendent search firm. Item D, whereas the Board of Education directed its council to issue an RFP for a superintendent search firm, and whereas council issued an RFP for a superintendent search firm on behalf of the Board of Education, and whereas proposals were received in response to the RFP, and whereas the Board of Education has reviewed and evaluated the proposals received, be it resolved that the Board of Education awards the RFP to McPherson and Jacobson, LLC, in accordance with the terms set forth in the proposal submitted, subject to the execution of the agreement prepared by council. All in favor? Motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Matt. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes.
I'm opposed.
You're opposed? One. Mr. Dorr? It still passes. Approval of memorandum of agreement. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Resolution of the Board of Education, resolved that the Board of Education, the Riverhead Central School District, hereby approves the memorandum of agreement with the Riverhead Central Faculty Association dated November 24th, 2020, concerning the stipend position of a high school yearbook business manager. Can I have a vote? All in favor?
Don't you need a motion?
Motion passes? I couldn't see
I
first.
think did everyone say yes?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
I think we did, didn't we? We did.
Acceptance of donation.
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it with a thank you.
Thank you. We have $567.38 from Tanga Management LLC to be used for Phillips Avenue School. We have Stop the Bleed kits in the amount of $513.12 from the high school PTSO. We got $63,000 from No Kid Hungry New York Share Our Strength organization to the school lunch fund. Can we have a vote? All in favor? Thank you. We want to thank you, everybody. All this is very well received. We definitely could use every bit of help we get. Okay, we're going to move on now to opportunity for board members, committee meeting. Whichever committee wants to speak first.
You want to go first?
Go ahead, Therese.
Oh, you're reading it? Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't.
She's reading the other one. Nice.
Health and Safety Committee met on November 17th. It was made up of Lori Downs, Matt Wallace, and myself, Virginia Healy, along with several dozen district employees. We heard an update on COVID-19 pandemic. The Suffolk County Department of Health is making changes to the quarantine protocol. The county is changing some of the distinguishing characteristics of close contact and proximate contact. Mr. Culhane noted that the district consults with the county on any issues that arise in implementing these protocols. We also discussed the desk barriers at elementary schools. The district is receiving shipments 2 or 3 times per week of desk barriers. They are being brought to the elementary schools upon delivery. Classrooms are being arranged in a combination of desks and tables to accommodate full class attendance and to allow for some measure of social distancing. Some of the district's trucks have already been outfitted with sanders in preparation for winter weather. Ice melt is on hand. Obeying directional signs and wearing weather-appropriate shoes are essential for safety in the coming months. With a larger than normal number of parents dropping their students off at school, cars have been lining up out of the Aquabog parking lot, north along Edgar Avenue and reaching Main Road. To correct this problem, the direction of traffic in the parking lot will be reversed. Cars will enter what is now the exit. This will enable cars to line up south along Edgar Avenue in the direction of Hubbard Avenue. In our transportation department, we conducted a safety test in conjunction with the federal TSA. In the exercise, TSA agents leave bags on buses before the drivers arrive in the morning and then test to see how many drivers find the bags before the pull out of the transportation center. Last year, only 50% of the drivers found the bags. This year, 90% of the drivers found the bags. We are pleased with the increased vigilance of the drivers. Suffolk County has delayed the installation of the stop arm cameras on the buses, but have promised to start the work within 2 weeks. The project will mean that the owners of cars that pass school buses with their red lights flashing will receive a ticket automatically in the mail. The Board of Education had approved the district's participation in the program early in the school year. The district is waiting for the county to begin the installation. Routes are being altered to accommodate the elimination of the cohort system on the elementary level. This will mean that buses will need to accommodate as many as 44 students on a bus. Currently, students sit alone in each seat unless they ride a bus with another student who lives in the same household. In order to accommodate additional students, 2 students will share a seat. Finally, we discussed that the district has seen remarkable compliance by students in the wearing of masks and practicing social distancing. We should all be proud of the students and what they are doing in this regard.
Thank you. Go ahead, Therese.
The Wellness Committee, made up of Matt Wallace, Virginia Healy, myself, and administration and staff, met on November 19th. We heard an update from Keith Graham, the cafeteria director, who informed the committee that the district has received a grant from the No Kid Hungry Foundation in the amount of $63,000. The funds will be used to help cover the cost of providing meals in non-traditional settings this year, namely in after-school pickups and at remote deliveries. The funds will also be used to purchase equipment that is needed to serve meals in classrooms. Costs for standard food service materials have skyrocketed. For example, gloves have gone from $15 to $18 per case last year to $83 per case this year. The supplier has indicated that beginning in January 21, we can expect to pay $85 per case. Supply costs have risen while meal counts are down from last year, which is to be expected given the cohort attendance models that have drastically reduced the number of students physically present in the school each day. The average daily participation for lunch in our schools in October 2019 was 2,735 per day, while in October 2020, it is 685 meals per day. We reviewed the menu for meals that are served remotely. Breakfast generally includes cereal, fruit, milk, and juice. Lunches vary and can include either cold sandwiches or fruit, or frozen entrees that need to be reheated at home. Those meals requiring heat are labeled with specific instructions. The frozen entrees include chicken and vegetable dishes. The menu also includes salads with protein. We heard about a planned mental health survey being organized by Jean Marie Mazzaferro, the Director of Special Education and Pupil Personnel. The online survey for parents and students is designed as a mental health check-in to allow staff to be made aware of students who are struggling during the pandemic. The biggest concern is students who are not on the district's radar already, and the survey is designed to make sure there are connections. We heard an update about physical education from Brian Sachs, the Director of Health, Physical Education, and Athletics. During the month of October, the physical education teachers were using more equipment, including soccer balls. As the temperature drops, they've moved inside. They've moved towards individual indoor sports, including badminton. The school is using 2 sets of rackets. While one set is being used by a class, the other is being sanitized. Physical education classes are being brought outside as much as possible. Students are being encouraged to come with hats, jackets, and gloves. We also discussed the status of Section 11, governed athletic competition. As of last week, the state has pushed back the dates on high-risk sports, including basketball, wrestling, and cheerleading, to January 4th, 2021. They are allowing low-risk sports, which includes winter track, bowling, gymnastics, and swimming, to start as of November 30th, 2020. The dates do not have any impact on Suffolk County. Section 11 has already pushed back all winter sports to January 4, so they do not have to redo any current schedules. In past years, schedules come out 2 seasons before they are played, which equates to about 4 months earlier. This timing allows schools to change and figure out scheduling. This year has been a work in progress with all the changes. There are no hard deadlines with Section 11 this year, and this would allow the district to make participation decisions later than normal. But this also puts the district in a situation whereby Section 11 post schedules. That season would then be closed to any as to previously undeclared participating schools. Right now, this is the case for winter sports. The varsity, JV, and middle school winter season schedules have been posted, and therefore Riverhead is now shut out of that season. If dates from the state or Section 11 were to change, this could be reevaluated. Section 11 is coming close to finalizing the fall varsity and JV season schedules. Those schedules are slated to be released right after Thanksgiving. After the varsity and JV schedules are released, they will start working on the fall middle school schedules, the spring varsity and JV, and then spring middle school. Once a season schedule is released, there is no way to add a team to that season. We're estimating that fall middle school will be released early December, and spring dates might be released in December or early January.
Thank you, Ms. Sahowski. There's no other committee? No?
Can I, are we allowed to make comments about?
Excuse me?
Are we allowed to?
Yes, that was my next thing.
Okay.
Any board members have any remarks that you'd like to take?
I just wanted to follow up on that wellness committee, because now we have these deadlines. The reality is that we're can't do the winter sports that's been scheduled, so we're closed out. And now fall is going to be slated to be released right after Thanksgiving. I mean, possibly. So if we meet December 8th, then we're going to be closed out of that. So our only, for those of us interested in this still, that it looks like spring. So we'll see what December 8th will bring.
Any other board members?
Yeah, I have a comment to make. I want to take a minute to thank and commend all the Riverhead employees for the job they have done during this pandemic. I know that it has been incredibly hard to switch modes from teaching in person to teaching remotely. I feel extremely proud of the employees that we have here in Riverhead. I have said many times that I feel our teachers are the best in the country. That is why, in this unprecedented time, we as educators cannot just do enough to get by, but we must strive to go above and beyond. I continually see this from quite many of our staff, whether it was raising money and donating devices to our students, teachers that get online early in the morning and don't quit until late at night, or when teachers have driven work to their students' homes when we have been closed due to COVID. Education is no different from any other public service industry. It's not the many that do more than what's expected that are seen. It's the few that don't that stick out. As I have heard from parents with multiple children in the district, that the differences between some teachers is glaring. Whether on the elementary level when stacks of handouts are sent home with no teacher instruction, or on the high school level where Google assignments are given with no recorded lesson. Dale Carnegie said, "When dealing with people, remember you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but dealing with creatures of emotion. A parent will not always let you know when you do something great, but I can tell you from sitting on this board, they will definitely tell you when you've done something they don't like. The emotional connections that you will make with your students and family will speak volumes about Riverhead. I cannot predict what will happen in our future. I am positive that as proud Riverhead Blue Waves, we will face all challenges and go beyond just getting by. I have always been a strong supporter of our teachers and staff, and I always will be. I cannot thank you all enough for what you've done for our students and Riverhead families. If there's anything that you need to help you make those connections, please let us know. I will do everything in my power to make sure you get every last thing that you want. In this time of Thanksgiving, it is time to bring teachers, admins, parents, and the town together for a common goal of doing what's best for our children. I want to see us destroy the difficulties that a failed budget and a pandemic have given us and emerge as the best school district on Long Island." Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice, Mr. Dora. Anyone else?
Are we at board comments?
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay, I just want to bring this up, and Mike, I'm going to need some assistance from you. Last meeting, there was some discussion about the sports and clubs that indicated the board had a conversation outside of the public meeting regarding this. There was a write-up in the newspaper about that, and I just wanted you to clarify what actually happened here at that meeting, and if you could confirm that we did or did not break the open law rule.
Having seen the article that was written, having heard the comments that were made at the last board meeting, there were a few things that took place. There were conversations in executive session that were then relayed in public with regard to sports and clubs. To some extent, there was some legal conversation about how that motion would be made and what could happen, which is a completely appropriate executive session topic. Or let me even rephrase that. Meetings with council are outside of the open meetings law. Any meeting that your board has with its council is not subject to the open meetings law. Many boards will do that as part of its executive session, but technically meetings with council are, for the purpose of receiving legal advice, are outside the scope of the open meetings law and therefore not subject to that. I think the conversation then got brought out into public, and there was discussion about decision being made. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but from my observation of that, I think the fact that there was a decision made was a bit of a mischaracterization. Right. Any board member has the ability to make a motion as part of a meeting. We normally do like to see that as part of an agenda, but a board member has the right to make a motion, even if there has been some other discussion that has taken place. The board member doesn't lose the right to make that motion. So that motion, despite the characterization that a decision had been made in executive session, there was no decision that was made that was enforceable. Any board member could have made that motion at that time. Right. I don't know if you want to go any further into that.
No, I just wanted you to clarify to our community what happened, and just that we reiterate as a board that we have the best interest of all. Going to end there. So thank you, Mike.
Any other comments from the board? Not seeing any. Is RCFA here?
I have a statement, Ms. Downs.
Okay.
That was me down here.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is from Mr. Wallace, RCFA president. Well, we have made it to our first calendar milestone, Thanksgiving break. Instead of my words tonight, I would like you to hear the words of one of our English teachers at the high school. Many people will have a Thanksgiving that looks a little different from last year. May you all enjoy it, whatever it is. I am thankful for my family first and foremost. Because of them, nothing else can ever really be that bad. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that regardless of what anyone says about us, or whatever directives they impart on us, I am privileged to come to work every day and be among the most dynamic teachers and finest people I have ever met. Keep doing what you do. Happy Thanksgiving. And that was from Dave Spinella.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
No public comments were sent in.
No public comments. Okie dokie. Well, we hear, what? Did you want to say something? Just soon? The audience?
I'm Jordan Palmer. I'm a senior at the high school. I just want to clarify. So you said that Section 11 with that winter sports have been closed out. We don't get the chance to play in January with the other schools?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Can I have a motion to close? Can I have a motion? What?
Motion.
Thank you.
A
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Have a happy Thanksgiving. Make it the best you can. Be safe.
Jordan, just give me a second.